Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and distributed live stream. By entering this virtual meeting room, you give your consent to be recorded and distributed by Simeon Morrow Public Speaking and Presentations, Piano Live with Simeon Morrow, and other third parties. If you prefer to not be recorded, please turn off your camera and or microphone and or go to the LinkedIn live video feed, the link to which I'll now place in the chat room. For a better experience, please turn off your microphone and set your video to gallery view. This show thrives on participant contributions, and all participants are encouraged to actively participate in this webinar by asking questions and making comments. To do so, please either write in the chat room, raise your hand, or turn on your microphone and say hi, and I'll be delighted to include your perspective in the conversation. Tonight, our featured guest is Dr. Tatjana Rankovich, a pianist and founder and director of the Music and More Summerfest, which takes place in Trebinje, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Tatjana is joined by Ionel Petroi, composer in residence at the Music and More Summerfest, pianist Knox Oakey, a student of Tatjana's, Simo Radic, historian at the Museum of Trebinje, and Dr. Jelena Putre, a public diplomacy professional. Also joining us tonight is Dr. Lino Rivera, professor of music at St. Mary's College of California. Welcome, Tatjana.
Thank you. It's so great to be here again, Simeon, and thanks for the introduction. This beautiful, it was the last chord of our gala concert this past August in Trebinje. So,
Tatjana, so tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you interested in founding a music festival in the Balkans.
well, it's a journey of life, but I come from a very cosmopolitan family, actually, Serbian and German and formerly Austro-Hungarian and Istrian, Montenegrin, even Mexican. And so of course, the final destination, I mean, until now is the United States, New York. So it fits perfectly to this whole background. And I guess after studying here and traveling so much and performing, I thought it was time for me to, in a way, give back to younger generation, to my students, and to connect people, which is my great interest, to connect people through music, to promote international qualities of all of us, and make these connections, and to bring arts and education and all sorts of actually artistic platforms. And somehow Trebinje came about.
Fantastic. So Simo Radic, speaking of Trebinje, welcome.
Hello to everyone. Greetings from Trebinje.
So Simo, tell us a little bit about yourself and your work at the Museum of Trebinje.
I'm Simo Radic, historian and museum pedagogue at the Museum of Herzegovina in Trebinje. I finished a bachelor and master degree from history in Novi Sad. I'm working in the museum for 4 years, and I'm focused on working with museum visitors and our audience. My main task here in museum is working with children. With my colleagues, I organized different workshops to introduce children about cultural, historical, and natural heritage of our region. So kids learn some interesting way what we keep here in our museum. So they really enjoy it. And also we took part in organization of different events like Music and More Summerfest.
Fantastic. So, Ionel, welcome.
Thank you. I will be short as possible, but maybe even longer. So my background is very simple, and as a composer, I started in reality when I was 15 years old. Before that, I want to say that my grandfather was a violinist, so he bought me a violin when I was 4 years old. And unfortunately, the sound was so terrible that I broke this violin. So he said, okay, in this time, you have to play accordion. So I started to play accordion. And I played for a long time, marriages and funerals. So, you know, in the Balkans, this was a kind of style, you know, this kind of mixture. And suddenly my grandfather said, but you know, we need an orchestrator, we need a musician for my band to make something, you know, something professional. So he said, okay, go to the school, to the music school. And now suddenly I discovered some kind of strange music like Debussy, Stravinsky. I said, what is this kind of music? So I was totally lost. But I was so attracted that I started composing my first piece at 15 years old. Unfortunately, this piece was lost. It was a kind of song. And after discovering Debussy, Ravel, much more, so I continued. I said, okay, let's do something similar. And when I was a student at the Belgrade Conservatory, so I composed one piece in the style of Stravinsky, Prokofiev, etc. It was my first orchestral piece. And at this age, when I was 24, so I moved to Paris. So between 1983 and 2007, I was in Paris before I came to New York. Now, talking about my music, I call my music relative. So there is a book, I'm not asking you to buy this book, but it's available on Amazon and on Barnes and Noble, made by French musicologist Ivanka Stoyanova. So there are many, many things also on the YouTube. So I don't ask you to buy this book, just listen on the YouTube and you will see music relative. So it's a very specific style. I wanted to detach myself from the contemporary music, let's say very dissonant contemporary music.
Okay, so we will get to Ionel's music relative in just a little bit. Before that, I'd like to bring in Jelena. Welcome, Jelena, Dr. Putre.
Thank you, Simon. Glad to be here.
Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work as a public diplomacy professional?
Yes, of course. So currently I live and work in Washington, D.C., where I moved to with my family in 2014. I come from Belgrade, Serbia, and there I worked for almost 20 years at the American Embassy in Belgrade, designing and managing public diplomacy programs. One of the most important elements of my job at that time was to organize arts and culture programs that featured American artists for the broader publics in Serbia. And in addition to that, I managed the US Speakers Program, bringing American experts and professionals from a variety of fields to give presentations, workshops, and seminars to professional audiences. Since I moved to Washington in 2014, I have worked at nonprofits that partner with the US Department of State and administer educational and professional exchange programs. And this has given me a unique perspective of the full cycle of American public diplomacy programs, how these programs are initiated in Washington, D.C., and what goals they ultimately achieve in other countries around the world. my work as a public diplomacy professional inspired me to research this field in the academic setting and led me to gaining a double master's in United States studies and a PhD in international relations.
Wow. So we will get into all of that later, but I can't imagine a more difficult job than doing diplomatic relations between Serbia and the United States. So, wow, that's fantastic. We're so grateful to have you and your perspective here. So now I'd like to bring in Knox Oakey. Hi, Knox.
Hi there.
Knox, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your studies, your piano studies with Tatjana?
So I've been playing piano for 10 years. I started when I was 7. I'm 17 now. I have been with Tatjana for a little over a year. We started studying together last fall, and since then I've just learned more than I could have ever imagined. She's definitely the best teacher that I've ever had. I can say that. I come from Virginia. I was born in Richmond, and I grew up on a farm outside of Richmond, Virginia, which meant that I did not have a lot of access to music. And last year, I had the good fortune to be able to come and study with Tatjana in New York every week. And it's been so remarkable for my development as a musician. And I'm now in the process of applying to music schools. And I was able to attend Music and More in Bosnia this summer.
Fantastic. And Knox, tell us, so you're applying to music school. What would you like to do at music school? What's your aspiration?
As a pianist, I'm hoping to become a professional performer and make that my career. I also have an interest in conducting, and I've been studying, and I'm hoping to become a conductor as well. I play a lot of chamber music as well as solo piano. I'm involved in a piano trio right now, as well as a duo. I have some performances in the upcoming months, and I'm hoping to pursue all of that in higher education.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to following your promising career then. Let's hear a little bit of Knox performing. This is Bach at the Music and More Summerfest. Fantastic. So Tatjana, what finesse, is that what you've taught him, or is that naturally Knox?
Both.
It's what she's taught me.
Well, I think, he's such a great medium for me, and it's the best kind of a student to have. And so, we worked really great together. And I have to say that this was our first concerto competition that was featured this past summer at the Music and More Summerfest. And so one of the concertos was this Bach F minor. So I made him learn it, and in a month he had it, and he was one of the winners. So bravo.
Fantastic. And in the future, then the conductors can look at him and then feel encouraged that they're doing something right. Very, very good. Fantastic. He'll be a calming force on the stage. as opposed to the way it normally is. Fantastic. So Tatjana, tell us about this Music and More Summerfest. Tell us about the creation of this incredible thing, what it is, you know, how you did it, what it means
So,
to mortals like us.
with pleasure. You know, when I was about 17 years old, I went to Switzerland to this wonderful international festival, Tibor Varga. And so it always stayed with me. And then when I came to the States and continued my studies at Juilliard and all of that, I carry that with me, that idea of one day me starting a festival someplace. And over the years, whenever I traveled and performed, I looked at many locations in Sicily, in Perugia, in different Montenegro even, and this actually in 2017, I almost started at this festival in Istria, in Pula, where my grandfather is from, actually. And so that was my first location, but then somehow one thing went to another, and a friend of mine suggested that I look into Trebinje. And so then, you know, I took this road trip and I came and I saw the city and I met the director of the music school and slowly director of the museum. And so that was my first trip in November of 2017. These are mountains in Bosnia, someplace on a way between Belgrade and Trebinje. This is Trebinje. This is the famous church where the amphitheater, here it is. This is the stage. This was my first photograph. It was a cold November day and it was done with my iPhone 5 at the time. And so when I saw this stage, I asked my friend who is, you know, piano company owner and in Belgrade, and I asked her if they could bring a piano on this stage. And of course, that's how it started. So, so then I thought of organizing. In my mind, I created a whole program after coming back to New York in that November of 2017. In about over Christmas time, I sat and I created the whole program and published it in January of 2018. And there it is. There it was. This was the beginning. And now we had, I don't know, some 30 countries from all over the world, students from 30 countries and artists and musicians who came and performed. And it's just such an international group, and we had already 4 seasons. And every time there is something new, something different, and it's growing. And the place is really, our concerts are in many different locations, and it's actually a summer school. So it's academy, festival and academy. And it's under the auspices of the city of Trebinje. Everybody has been supportive and understanding, and it's just become kind of a very major thing every summer, every 2 weeks in August. That's when he takes part. And so I really hope that it will live a long, long, long time.
And may I bring in Simo? Simo, can you tell us about this city and the cultural life? What does it mean to have all of these international talented musicians, world-renowned musicians coming to Trebinje? Is that a common occurrence, or what? When you first learned about this, what did you think? Simo, are you there?
Could we hear now?
Yes.
Is it okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Trebinje is a small city near Adriatic coast. It's under Mountain Leotar in the valley of river Trebišnica. We are really near the sea, almost about 20 kilometers away. I usually, when I'm joking, I said that Trebinje is a seaside town without sea, because people who don't live in Trebinje, and when they come here, they tell us we can smell the sea. Here, we who lives in Trebinje, we don't notice that. Well, Trebinje at this moment has something about 27,000 inhabitants, and this is the city of the rich history and culture. Also, we call Trebinje city of culture, sun, and the wine, because we have a large number of famous poets. At first, we have Jovan Dučić, who was a famous poet and diplomat, and he died in the United States in 1943 near Chicago. Then also a lot of famous actors, athletes are from Trebinje. Also, we have about 270 sunny days during the year. And of course, we are famous by wine production. There are a lot of wineries in the town and around the town. Also, we are proud of our heritage from different periods, from prehistoric, Roman period, Middle Ages, especially because, for example, in the yard of the museum, we have an archaeological site where are the remains of medieval palace. It was the residence of medieval queen Helena of Anjou. Also, we have remains from Ottoman government. This old part of the town was built in that period. And also Austro-Hungarian government left many monuments. Even this building of the museum is built in that period. And one interesting building in our yard, former pigeon post station, which is only preserved and renovated in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Unfortunately, we don't have pigeons at this moment to send the letters, but we send information on another way. Because we held this in that space, we held the workshops. Well, music and More Summerfest, it's really important for our town because, you know, today it's a really matter of prestige to participate at that festival. You know, in particular, the Museum of Herzegovina, where I work, this is the one of the places where the participants could practice, and they held concerts in this area. So I think the atmosphere is the best here in our museum. We have a wonderful stone-walled acoustic hall, and I think Tatjana and Ionel will share the same opinion with me that the atmosphere is the best in museum. Definitely, this festival enriched the cultural life of Trebinje because not only inhabitants of Trebinje, even the tourists could enjoy in classic music and in this let's say globally famous musicians in our town, because there are concerts on different places in the Trebinje, on the market, in amphitheater, in museum, in the park, in the theater. So you can enjoy in some unusual place in really good music.
And Simo, so tell us about the normal tourism. Which is there a lot of tourism already in Trebinje? Are there just people from the Balkans coming? Are there now? Do you see, because of the summer music and More Summerfest, has it become more? Have you seen more tourists?
Yes, we have tourists from different parts of the world, especially from the Europe. From Italy, France, Germany, Great Britain, then Scandinavia, from Spain, also Greece, Turkey, from different parts, especially from Europe, but also we have visitors from United States. This is small groups, individuals, let's say, but because the music and more is on this let's say very attractive part of the year in the August, and in that period we have really great number of the visitors, so they also could enjoy in concerts.
Fantastic. So I'd like to bring in Professor Lino Rivera of St. Mary's College of California. He has a question or comment. Hi, Lino.
Hello, Tatjana, Ionel, Knox, and Simo. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to being there next summer. And just a quick question. What is the language that is spoken in Trebinje? Is English widely spoken and understood? Because my students were asking, we only speak English. And second question is it in Cyrillic alphabet or in Roman alphabet? What's the language like?
Well, the main language here is Serbian, but also we could speak on English. And we have, you can use, alphabet, English alphabet, of course, and Cyrillic alphabet, if you know. So we are open for all languages.
So a very, very international place, just as you were explaining,
Yes.
Simo. Thank you so much. How exciting. And we look forward to visiting your museum and meeting you there. So let's have a listen now to Tatjana performing as soloist of the, I believe this is a Bach concerto. Let me just find it here. So here it is. This is Bach Brandenburg Concerto. And here we go. Fantastic. So Knox, so you were sitting so close to Tatjana. I mean, and you looked so calm. It was, tell us, what were you thinking there?
I was just trying to make sure that I turned the pages at the right times. I was
Fantastic.
staring at the music.
Wonderful. And tell us a little bit about your experience at this Music and More Summerfest. So you said before you grew up on a farm in Virginia. It's your first time going to New York City to take music lessons. Like Lino, Professor Rivera, was saying, his students are afraid of going out of the country because they don't know which language they speak in Trebinje. You were there. Apparently, you conquered Trebinje with your concerto competition. Tell us, how was your experience?
Well, I was also unsure about the language going there, but I was able to pick up a little bit because there are, and there were a number of Serbian musicians there who were great people, wonderful. And, so I picked up a few of the words, but it was truly an incredible experience for me. It was, probably the greatest musical event that I've ever been to. I was privileged to perform multiple times. I think 4 or 5 times I got to play things that I had been working on for a long time, and it was really amazing. And I was able to watch all these great performances. I got to work with the conductor, and I got to appear conducting the orchestra, which was wonderful. I met so many musicians from around the world. There were musicians from China, from Serbia, from Germany, from all over the United States, and people that I have kept in touch with, and I had such a great time playing with them. I got to play in multiple duos with violinists, which was wonderful. There was one one really wonderful violinist from Arizona, actually, and who now is in Los Angeles. And we played part of the violin sonata by César Franck, which is an incredible piece. Very, very hard, but beautiful. And we had such a good time doing that. I got to play in the competition, and I got to experience Trebinje, which is really a wonderful place. I had a really great time there.
Did you have trouble leaving?
Yes, definitely.
What were your feelings when you had to go back home to Delhi?
Well, I mean, I was tired. I was very tired. So I was ready to rest, and I slept the entire flight, even though it was daytime the whole time. I went right to sleep. But it was incredible going there, and I was definitely sad to leave, and I am hoping to be back next year.
And Knox, tell us about the experience working with the other, not working, getting to know the locals. What was that like? I've had some experiences in countries where it's tough to get to know the locals. I mean, they know, okay, you're a foreigner, I don't want to talk to you. How was your experience? Did you get to meet any of those people? You were working hard, but you were also there, really embedded in the society. How was that?
That's right. There were people all around were very friendly, definitely. And, there's not such a communication barrier. You can talk to people, and, I was able to go around and get to know the town and the areas that we were in, the people at the hotel where we were staying, and around the downtown and the old town, which is a beautiful, beautiful part of Trebinje. There's the old town, which, is from the 15th century, I think, when the Turks were still occupying Trebinje. And it's a walled city. It's the original town, and they have all these buildings that are from that time, and surrounded by this wall that's just centuries old. And that's where the museum was, where we would perform, and where I got to perform. And so we would go there, and the streets are all cobblestone, and the buildings are so old, and it's such an interesting place to be.
Fantastic. So now you know more about European history than most Europeans. Wonderful. So Tatjana, tell us a little bit about what you want students to get out of this experience. Is that what Knox was just explaining there? What is this that you're looking for when a student comes? What do you want them to leave with?
Attending a summer music festival is always a very special experience, and it should be a special experience for all students, and it should be a different experience, a different set of information, of knowledge, freshening up in all ways, and refreshing their body and soul with new information, networking, meeting new people, meeting new different people from different parts of the world. So it really is like a complete enrichment of someone's being. And I remember that's what happened to me back in 1980 and 81 when I was a kid, and I went to Switzerland, and over there I met students from Korea, from Texas, from different parts of the United States, from France and Switzerland, and I learned about raclette and fondue and all of these great foods, and and I was just a kid, and I remember, and this is actually the idea that I want for all these students who come from all over the States and China and Taiwan and Korea and Singapore and Venezuela and wherever they were coming from. And it's very different, but it's very meaningful for them to meet other students, to work together, to experience these different ethics and just different ways of being and behaving and talking, and there are always these nicks and knacks, and it's just and it's a wonderful to hear Knox, and who is I consider him my kid now, from Virginia, who grew up on a farm, and all of a sudden he's just the other day walking after a lesson, we talked about he's applying to a few schools in London, and he's so ready to he's already an international person, and I feel that this festival has helped that and has encouraged that whole persona. It just came out of cocoon more and more, first New York and now, you know, going to Europe and Trebinje and visiting Dubrovnik and Mostar and sharing talks and times with all these other students. And I think that's really the most important. And I have to say that all my students, I brought a lot of students this past year, as every year, and they all seem different to me, just more mature and more like their listening is much better. And all of a sudden it's just kind of a different understanding of the musical language and ways of getting to that performance level and understanding what it means to actually present themselves.
Fantastic.
So
and before
lovely.
we move on to our next video, I wanted to point out that the last student of yours that we had on this program was in medical school, and he still went to the Trebinje Music and More Summerfest, and he didn't have the same aspirations as Knox, but it was just as important to him and to his life to attend the festival.
Yes,
So,
exactly. There are lots of people, you know, who are not, okay.
So, sorry, Tatjana, go on.
No, I just wanted to say there are a few people who, you know, come and who came and hopefully will come, who don't have aspirations to become professional musicians or go on to study master's or doctoral studies and so on, but who are passionate about music, about achieving excellence in their own domain and ways with music, and so they get just as much out of it. Plus they can really tour all those great wineries and taste, you know, that students, you know, the students also, you know, it's Europe, so it's not the age of 21, so at 18 you can easily drink some wine.
I guess that's true, but maybe they don't all take up that opportunity. Probably.
Well, you know, we make a big cheer with everybody, and you know, it's kind of it becomes a great community and like a big family. And this year it was lovely to see that students from everywhere, and we had over 30 students, and with faculty it was about 65 people there at the hotel, and we're all kind of having parties and, you know, cheering after concerts and competitions. And so it was a really nice teamwork.
Going back to now, we're going back to the music part of this festival. Here we are. It is called Chardash by Ionel Petroi. Fantastic. So I would like us to now see the next video. Oh, and we have Kevin Kelly here is writing, after a full day of study, enjoying delicious wine with friends is totally satisfying. I have to say, Kevin Kelly, I agree with you completely. I think we're all on board there. Okay, so let's watch one more video for the sake of time, so that we can see we can see here again another music of Ionel Petroi. Here it is. This is called Light Adagio. Fantastic. So, Ionel, it seems to me that performing your music is as much fun as it is listening to it. You must get a lot of compliments from the musicians as well as from the audience. It's just a lot of fun. Feels it's great to listen to. Tell us about that. Music relative.
Let's say that this light adagio that you just presented is a kind of dream of Mozart 21st concerto, second movement. Probably some people in the audience, they recognize it. In reality, I was so touched by this movement that everybody knows. And I said, making a variation on this doesn't make sense. So I transformed this music in the main theme. And this piece, it's around 8 minutes. And there are 8 variations after this theme, which is a totally inspiration from Mozart. So it's a kind of relative music inspired by Mozart.
I love it. And how was it, Tatjana? How was it received there at Music and More?
Wonderful. Wonderful. You know, last year we premiered his Dark Adagio. So this year it was time for Light Adagio, and I think it was a big hit.
And I imagine. And we have a question from Lino. Hi, Lino.
Hello, I have a question for Ionel. Ionel, a couple of my students, one is a pianist and one is a violinist. They are interested also in playing jazz. And I understand you also play jazz. Do you have some jazz sessions at the festival? And do you teach improvisation during the festival and some compositions?
I will be very short. Yes.
Okay, so all of the above.
Lino, sorry, if you go on the site, you will see that he is on the faculty for jazz and improvisation.
Fantastic. So I want to bring in now Jelena Putre. Jelena, can you tell us now about we talked before about the diplomacy that you spent years there working in Belgrade with the American embassy, with Serbia. Very difficult, I imagine. So tell us about the significance of a program you have here. These Americans or international citizens residing in the United States, going to this, how can you say, this complicated area called Bosnia and Herzegovina. What's the significance here? What does that mean? Even Tatjana told me that you had a Russian officials sitting next to Americans, sitting next to British. What does this all mean?
Well, I would like to first talk about what's called citizen diplomacy, which is a actually the most important part of the public diplomacy, and that's the interaction of individuals from different cultures. It happens all around the world every day. We are all ambassadors of our countries. By that I mean not necessarily one country, maybe maybe two or three countries where we lived. So wherever we travel, whatever we do, we represent, we carry a part of our countries and our background with ourselves. And the Music in More Summerfest is a perfect example of this type of diplomacy that's both cultural and citizen diplomacy. And that festival is conducted by an American-based, US-based organization. In this case, it's Tanya's organization, Tatjana's organization, and she does that in the Balkans by featuring classical and jazz music of various composers from different parts of the world. So it's, in a way, a global cultural event. And the program of the festival combines works that the audience is familiar with, and also the works that open new musical horizons to the audience. And there is this learning, discovery component. And during the 14 days of the festival, there is also an intensive exchange and interaction between festival participants who come from all around the world and the community of Trebinje itself. Students, musicians, and professors have an opportunity to experience this wonderful town, medieval town, and the hospitality of its people, while the local community gets to know guests and welcomes them with an open heart every year. For this will be the 5th time this next summer. And often diplomacy happens right there during these interpersonal interactions. And this increases the mutual understanding and everybody's openness to others that are different from us. And as I said, this is called citizen diplomacy, as such encounters often change people's lives. Tatjana mentioned her first participation is such a festival that actually many years later led her to create this festival in Trebinje. And now I will talk a little bit about the traditional diplomats who are invited to come to different concerts and to participate in the Music in More Summerfest. And when they come to the festival, they represent their own countries. And that's what their job is about in Bosnia and Herzegovina and the broader region of the Balkans. This past summer, we had the British ambassador and his wife at the amphitheater at the concert, and also the Russian military attaché, which was kind of sensitive, you know, because of everything that has been happening on the world scene in the political area right now. And we think that it is important that the traditional diplomats are invited to this festival, and we want to build relationships with them and with their embassies. The more they know about the festival, the more likely they will be to support participation of the students from their respective countries in the festival, and also musicians and professors who want to come to the festival, especially the students who cannot afford themselves to pay participation fee, tuition for the festival.
Fantastic. So I just wanted to follow up with a quick question. How is this what Tatjana is doing? How is this Music in More Summerfest different than For example, if it would be an international sports event, although it's not a very good equivalent. For example, the FIFA Federation going to Qatar. I mean, what's the difference here? How is this better or not as good a way of cultural diplomacy and citizen diplomacy?
Well, I mean, it's just different, you know. FIFA attracts a different kind of audience, and the patterns of behavior of people are different at these events. Music and More Summerfest primarily features the feelings about good, positive feelings about the music, about other cultures, and about general education and learning process, I would say. It's really a special feeling when you are there, when you attend these concerts and other events. And I think that it enriches everybody. And in a way, each person who attends the festival or who participates in the festival changes in a way after.
So then
this
you would agree with this expression of Heinrich Heine saying that where words leave off, music begins. And as you mentioned that, so as Knox was saying, he was getting to know the history of these walls that the Turks built or that kept out the Turks, one or the other. And music has this natural way of bringing in you to be curious about learning something new, the same way that Ionel was writing this Chardash, the same way that getting everybody involved. So would you agree with that? There's some kind of special community element here where we're all learning about each other and raising our curiosity about each other.
Yes, definitely. And that's, as I said, is the most important part actually of public and citizen diplomacy, because I mean, we are different each time we leave such events. And I would just say that this is definitely something that I would agree with, the statement, but I would broaden it to arts in general, not only music, but other types of art that changes us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So with our final minutes, I would like to ask first Simo and then Tatjana, what's your favorite thing? What do you look forward to most about music and more in 2023? Simo?
Well, I hoping that a lot of young musicians will come here in Trebinje, and I promise here in museum we will be good hosts like previous years.
Fantastic. Tatjana?
And I would like to welcome also many newcomers as well as returning alumni students. And I look forward to premiering more works and presenting all these wonderful pieces of our huge library of classical works. And I also cannot wait to see Lino, who is here with us, and many of my colleagues who were supposed to be there in 2020, but as we know, we had to cancel that. And then last year also there were some changes. So hopefully it'll be a wonderful new roster of faculty. And I really, really look forward to that and to welcoming everybody.
Fantastic. So let's see. So Tatjana, tell us who can attend if people, we're going to take a look now about attending the Summerfest. I have here the application. If I can close some of my windows. Okay, there's the application. There it is. So this is the application to attend. It's Music and More Summerfest, musicandmoresummerfest.com. That's where we can learn about this. So students, it's easy to apply. Tell us about, and there's Knox. Hi, Knox. So tell us, are other people, if they want to come to Trebinje and listen to the Music Fest, are they able to schedule their flights with you? How does that work? What if other people are
Well,
interested to come?
You know, we don't really, we're not exactly a travel agency, but we help. So the traveling, everybody books their own tickets, and however, the participant, the accepted students, so there is a protocol. They send their application, their video application components, and so we accept them, we verify everybody's level so that we can group them, because we do a lot of chamber music and orchestra studies, and their ensembles and individual studies. And so here's the opening concert, and so they can apply www.musicandmoresummerfest.com, one word, and please read through the program. We have individual lessons for piano, strings, violin, viola, cello, and composition, conducting, and jazz piano improvisation. So everybody's welcome to attend. Everybody's welcome to send us an email with questions, inquiries. We're here to answer. Accepted students, then we send their programs, we talk to their teacher, we schedule their performances for showcases and so forth. The concertos for the competition are listed. There are monetary rewards as well as performances. So everybody's welcome. There are many levels, mainly the age. We have young high school students up until college level, master's, doctoral, and even amateur, advanced amateur musicians who are all capable and able to play chamber music.
Okay.
So who are advanced enough for that.
And Tatjana, and so also, so people who are not musicians who are interested just to listen to the festival, they can write you and ask some questions or whatever and figure out how to get.
They can, absolutely. And I do get, follow us on Instagram, Facebook. I get questions all the time from people, I never met. And so it's kind of nice. And some of these people, like last year, we sponsored a boy from Sarajevo who is a violinist. Maybe his mom is here with us. Maybe she's listening to the program. But that's how I got to know her. She asked me if I could listen to him play. And so I connected him. I created a duo with my student Charita, a little youngest girl, and they were really just the most delicious duo performing Schubert.
Fantastic. So I have a special guest. I want to a special guest who's going to say hi. Hi, John.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say that I attended the festival summer before last, and I enjoyed it enormously. I think Tanya's done an incredible job. I became aware of the festival through my wife, Jelena Putre, who's a wonderful violinist, and she and Tanya know each other from way back from Belgrade and New York, I think. One of the things that really impressed me were the venues. This amphitheater at night, it's a really special atmosphere. The concerts in the main square, both in the afternoon and the evening. The villas at the museum, wonderful places to enjoy concerts. And the one that sticks out in my mind is when Tanya and Vesna and the cellist played that cafe trio. And Ionel performed his own piece. That was a really memorable evening.
And John, can you tell us a little?
Wish them all the best of luck, and I hope the festival continues to thrive.
John, can you tell us about where you're tuning in from and your what you do professionally?
Yeah, I'm here in Vienna. I think you are too, Simeon. Or I'm a violist. I just spent the whole day rehearsing with the Vienna Chamber Orchestra. I've played in various ensembles. I played with the Vienna Philharmonic for 20 years. Yeah, that's it.
Fantastic. That's enough. Wonderful. Thank you so much, John. Very good. So I just wanted to say again, thank you to Tatjana, thank you to Jelena, to Knox, and to Ionel and Simo. Let's take a look at what's coming up next weekend. So it will be, I can find it here. There it is. So we have, it's going to be on Saturday, and it is Society of Friends of the Fine Arts, Vienna. Vienna, the city of fine arts. When viewing exhibitions at 3 of Vienna's most renowned museums, the Academy of Fine Arts, the Museum of Modern Art, and the Albertina, it's likely you are viewing an artwork acquired for that museum by the Society of the Fine Arts, the Society of Friends of the Fine Arts, Vienna. Since 1980, this unique charitable organization has existed solely to purchase celebrated artworks of the past, commission highly valuable new artworks of today, and donate all acquisitions to enrich and enlarge the collections of those 3 museums. Sylvia Eisenberger-Kuntz is the art connoisseur and manager behind this incredible 40-plus year operation, and she joins us together with artist Damesh Daha to give us an exclusive look at the newest artworks to call Vienna home. So this will be exceptionally on Saturday. There will be no show on Wednesday. This will be on Saturday at the usual time. So again, that's a Society of Friends of the Fine Arts, Vienna. All information about upcoming shows can be found at www.simeonmorrow.com. Once again, thank you so very much to Dr. Tatjana Rankovich, Ionel Petroi, Simo Radic, Dr. Jelena Putre, Knox Oakey, Professor Lino Rivera, and thanks very much to the guest appearance of John Moffat. From Trebinje, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Vienna, Austria, New London, New Hampshire, New York City, New York, Wilmington, Delaware, Washington, D.C., and the Bay Area, California, goodbye and see you on Saturday.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.